Understanding EIPCa's federal legislative proposal, an article series brought to you by Election Integrity Project California. Part 8, The Case Against No Excuse Vote by Mail. Understanding each article in this series will provide you with the information you need to be instrumental in the success of EIPCa's proposal to Congress, which would reverse the demise of election integrity nationwide. Please do not miss a single article in this series, designed to foster your understanding of our proposal. If you do, you may access them at the link in this article. And while you are on the website, sign up to receive all future emails directly to your inbox. To slightly paraphrase George Orwell, if liberty means anything at all, it means the necessity to hear truths you do not want to hear. The inconvenient truth about mail-in voting is not popular because everyone wants to do things the easy way. The question is, at what cost? Vote-by-mail ballots are the #1 tool for fraud and election manipulation in the U.S. So found the Jimmy Carter James Baker III Presidential Commission on Election Integrity in 2005. In the intervening 20 years, the #1 tool used for manipulating election outcomes arguably has shifted to election technology, electronic poll books, voting machines, ballot marking devices, and their printed QR codes, proprietary tabulators. But there is no doubt that all vote by mail and universal mailing of ballots create a dream scenario for would-be election manipulators in a multitude of ways. #1, unreliable and out-of-date voter rolls are a perennial problem in virtually every state. Until Congress creates a nationwide voter database, which you can read about in Part 6 of this article series, and until proof of citizenship is mandatory at registration, which you can read about in Part 3 of this article series and also our article called Mega, there is not much hope for improvement. As a result, in states that are all vote by mail, which would be Washington, Oregon, Colorado, and Hawaii, and states like California and a few others that mail ballots to every registrant on the active voter rolls, many hundreds of thousands of ballots hit the post office addressed to deceased, relocated, and non-citizen recipients. Those ballots, along with legitimate ballots, are vulnerable while making their way through the U.S. mail or left in mailboxes, and are ripe for appropriation and use by unscrupulous individuals. #2, vote by mail, abbreviated VBM, ballots have virtually no chain of custody. Blank ballots enter the USPS and are tracked, but there is no real protection against carelessness, laziness, loss, or theft, as is evidenced by the number of ballots that have been discovered dumped in bushes, dumpsters, or roadside ditches, or have simply gone missing. The Postal Workers Union is one of the most powerful unions in the nation, with a great deal of power and political bias. To have ballots in the hands of union members subject to political or union pressure does not constitute a reliable chain of custody. Most VBM ballots are delivered to mailboxes that are vulnerable to any passerby. Until retrieved by the voter, those ballots lose whatever chain of custody they might have enjoyed while in the hands of the USPS. Voters mark VBM ballots outside the oversight of elections officials. There is no way to determine that any VBM was actually marked by the legitimate voter or by someone else in the household. There is no way to determine whether any VBM was marked as an exercise of the sovereign free will of the voter or under duress or influence behind closed doors. In this respect, VBM ballots severely threaten every citizen's right to a secret ballot. Many completed VBM ballots are submitted by the voter to the elections office via the USPS and face the same perils on their return trip as they faced before. Some arrive at the elections office altered, unbeknownst to anyone but the perpetrator, and some just never arrive. Some voters submit their VBM ballots to a drop box. Voters have the impression that their ballots are therefore secure and under chain of custody. But most drop boxes are outdoors and unsurveilled. Some are in locations voters may not feel safe going, especially in the dark. All are vulnerable to vandalism. California law allows ballots to remain alone and unprotected in those vulnerable boxes for up to 90 hours before collection. This does not constitute chain of custody. Some voters fall prey to ballot harvesters who go door to door, offering to help voters mark their ballots and or deliver them safely to what should be their final destination. In California, ballot harvesters and harvesting are completely uncontrolled. Anyone can collect ballots from anyone else. There is no certification or quality control. No one can know how many ballots they collect, how many they alter, how many they turn in, how many they don't. There are standards set forth in the law, but no way to enforce them or determine if they are followed. The reality is that once a ballot harvester is in possession of another's ballot, the ballot is vulnerable to alteration or filtering by the harvester. There is no chain of custody to protect it, and it may be used in whatever way the harvester chooses. Number 3, VBM ballots are more likely to be cast without all necessary voter information. Beginning even before ballots are mailed out, voters face relentless urging of candidates, parties, and elections officials to, quote, vote early, scratch it off your to-do list, do it before you forget, help your candidates and party save money on get out the vote efforts, get a jump on the other party, and many other exhortations. This causes elections to be muddy, careless, less organized, and more manipulatable. It causes voters to vote emotionally rather than thoughtfully, ahead of information they might wish later they had waited for. Number 4, campaigning becomes very difficult in a mixed vote by mail, vote in person environment. Candidates must time the release of key information to coincide perfectly with when voters most need it and will be receptive to it. In other words, before they have solidified their ballot decisions, but not so far in advance as to be forgettable or confused with propaganda from other campaigns. Not knowing for sure who will vote in person and who will vote by mail, they cannot target their message in a timely fashion. Number 5, the legitimacy of VBM ballots in most states is, quote, validated via a signature verification process. In California, the guidelines establishing that process are so weak as to be all but useless. Verifiers must always begin with the bias that the signature is legitimate and leap many high hurdles before they can determine otherwise. Number 6, phantom ballots are a reality. California and other states that have taken the effort to look at the data find significantly more votes counted than voters recorded as having voted. Phantom ballots, either stolen and repurposed or illicitly printed and injected into the system, get counted by the thousands. The vote by mail system is a scam for election manipulation, wrapped in a veneer of pretense that it makes voting easier, more convenient, more accessible. Proponents claim that universal VBM increases voter turnout. The statistics say otherwise. And the consequences, intended or otherwise, are that citizens have every reason to doubt reported election results. Unnecessary voting by mail must be prohibited nationwide. EIPCa's proposal asks Congress to do its duty and ban it once and for all.